Hello and welcome to the War 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a big thank you to Phoenix for sending in some awesome pictures of his Cadian 88th Liberators. Absolutely love a good red and tan colour scheme. In fact, before I started the Great Mordian Restoration Project, my Mordians were in a red and tan colour scheme. Unfortunately, it was nowhere near as good as the one that Phoenix has done, so big well done to you. You did an absolutely fantastic job on these models. I love a good red and tan colour scheme, and I think you have pulled it off much better than I ever did. So thank you for sending these pictures in. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page, or you can email them to me at mordianglorytv@gmail.com. And don't worry if you're an Ogun who hasn't had his bonehead surgery yet, because there will be a link and my email address down in the description below. But without further ado, let's crack on with today's video. So today, guys, I want to do a quick tip tactica on how you can make Punisher Cannon spam great again. You see, cast your mind back to early 8th, late 7th edition. If you played the game then, maybe you sat round Grandad's chair around the fire as he told you stories of when he fought in the 7th edition battlefields at the beginning of 8th edition, many moons ago, and you can see the wistful look in his eye, and you believe these mystical tales of when people used to spam Punisher cannons. You know, and then you're like, oh, you know, and then your parents come up to say, oh, don't listen to Grandad, you know, he doesn't know what he's talking about anymore. But you know that Grandad knows what the hell he's talking about. What the hell am I talking about? The point is Punisher cannons used to be great, and we want to make Punisher cannons great again, and we are going to do that. You see, thanks to the combination of the most for the Guard anyway, Cadian supplement and the greater good, we have access to many sources of Punisher Cannon boosting technology. Now, some of you are going to be like, Mordian Glory, I know what you're going to say here. I know what you're going to be talking about. You know, you're going to be talking about Weapon Expert and putting it on a Punisher Cannon Tank Commander, and oh, my Punisher Cannon's got AP -1. Yeah, you know what? I am going to say that. But in case you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I'll go through it step by step for you now. So, some of you may live in this mad, crazy world where you're not a big fan of the full payload Manticore, or maybe you like to get your indirect fire from other sources. I don't know, I won't judge. But what I will say is that there is definitely some merit to going down the Weapon Expert track with your tank aces. Now, you can get 2 tank aces. One of the number one questions I always get is, how do you take 2 tank aces? Okay, well, firstly, we're going to address that. You can spend 1 CP pre-game to use the tank ace stratagem, which means you can turn one of your Leman Russes into a tank ace. And on top of that, you can forego giving your Warlord a Warlord trait. You just go, you know what, I don't want a Warlord trait. I've got a Warlord, but he has no Warlord trait, okay? And if you forego your Warlord trait, then you can take an additional tank ace, which is really good. So you can get 2 tank aces. Now, what you can do with those 2 tank aces is you can upgrade Manticore to full payload if you're being sensible and boring, or you can give your Leman Russ tank commanders, or any Leman Russ, the Weapon Expert trait. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to get an extra AP on your turret weapons. Now, you might think, hey, AP -3 battle cannons, that's pretty good. And you know what, you'd be right, an AP -3 battle cannon is pretty sweet. Or you could be absolutely insane and be like, oh, I'll take an AP -4 Vanquish cannon. You're not going to do that. Ironically, when Games Workshop was showing off the Weapon Expert trait, they did say that. So, oh, you could make your Vanquish cannon AP -4. The fools. No one was taking Vanquish cannons anyway. AP -3 was enough for them anyway. Anyway, let's not get onto that. What you want to do is take Weapon Expert on your Punisher cannons, because then your Punisher cannons are getting AP -1, which is actually a really big deal. It means that, you know, you straight away you start kicking marine equivalents onto like a 4-up save. Even if they're in cover, you can negate the cover with like an Astropath with Astral Divination, and you still got them on a 4. It's just good, and you naturally combine this with 3 heavy bolters, and you're like, okay, great. Now I'm on like 49 strength 5 AP -1 shots, and some of them are damaged too. But with all the the damage damage reduction floating around these days. You know, it's not really, you don't really care about that anymore. So, why this is really effective is, naturally this is very, very effective. And, you know, this has been a thing for a while. But thanks to the new Cadian supplement, and I don't want this video to go on for a really long time, thanks to the new Cadian supplement, you can take this a step further. Because you can essentially, in a funny sort of way, get Weapon Expert a third time. Because what you do is you go onto your Cadian supplement and you look at the Stratagem Shock Troops, which means if you're in half range, you get an extra AP -1, which means you can get 3 Punisher commanders, 3 Punisher tank commanders onto AP -1 now. And it might not seem like such a big deal. Oh, I can only do it with 2. Why do I care about 3? But this is the thing. We're talking about making Punisher cannon spam great. And the good thing about this is if you're going Cadian, it means you can take Pask. Now, Pask normally can't take like Weapon Expert, right? Because he's a named character. You can't tank case him, right? It's just a sad thing, but you can't do it. As far as I'm aware, let me know if I'm wrong. Put it down in the comment section below. But what you can do is use Shock Troops on Pask, which means you can have Pask running around with a Punisher cannon, hitting on 2s, and if you use Shock Troops, you count standing still. So hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s with AP -1. Or you know, it's just really, really good. Okay, now you might be like, oh, we've got to be in half range. It's only 12 inch for a Punisher cannon. You are correct. It is only 12 inches for a Punisher cannon. But let me introduce you to Strategic Reserves. You can put Pask in Strategic Reserve. You can outflank him. You know, Cadians have access to loads of CP. Then you need loads of CP as Cadians. So you can bang Pask in Strategic Reserve, have him come in from a flank, and have him, you know, within 12 inches, and have him unleash the beast. And when you actually think about that for a second, if you just think about that, that's roughly 150 Strength 5 AP -1 shots that are coming out of your army every turn. You know, just that's really, really effective. And what I really like about this tactic is it's got a little bit of flexibility, right? It's got a little bit of flexibility. So you can actually take 4 tank commanders with, you know, like this. So you take 3 tank commanders and Pask. Now you're only going to be able to like AP -1, you know, additional AP 3 of them, right? So you have 2 with tank ace, Pask and another tank commander, right? So, but that's actually all right because Punisher cannons have quite a short range. So there's going to be many a time when you're not going to have all 4 in range. But I think consistently, genuinely consistently, you could have 3 of these bad boys in range every turn. On average, every turn. You know, you might lose one, but you've still got another one that then trundles forward and is able to use, you know, shock troops and is able to be effective. So you could maintain a solid sort of 150 of these strength 5 AP -1 shots just coming out every single turn. But here's the kicker, right? Here's what I really like about it. Is that, let's say you lose Pask and you lose another one of the tank commanders, okay? You know, and you're like, okay, I've just got my 2 tank ace bozos left. You know, it still works, because then what you start doing is being like, right, I'm going to use, and this is like the other part of it, maybe you don't want to just like totally span them, maybe you just want to make one really good Punisher cannon, right? And the way you do that, let's say you've lost a couple of tank command, let's say you've lost Pask and you've lost another one, or you've only got 1 tank commander with weapon expert who's in range, then you still slap shock troops on that bozo, and now your Punisher cannons and your heavy bolters would be AP -2. So it stacks. So you might be in a situation where, like, okay, I'm facing someone who I just really, you know, I just really need to just slam AP -2 shots into this unit. It's got some way of ignoring AP -1 or whatever. You know, I just really need to be able to do that. Well, you can do that. It's got flexibility. That's my point. It's got flexibility. So it's really just a nice way of being able to spam Punisher cannons and just to be able to just hit the enemy really, really hard. I mean, one way of looking at this as well is, you know, you can use Pask to hit on 2s against. This has got like a really tough target to kill, right? You know, like Custodies around the corner, Custodies bikers, Custodies infantry, they could be really starting to become a problem. And all those goddamn custodians are going to be on like a 2-up save, right? One way or another. So being able to knock them down to a 3-up is a really big deal. So what you might want to do is like fire your puncture can in there, and you're likely to do like a wound or two. You're likely to maybe to even kill some, and especially if Pasca's going first, right? And then, bam, overlapping fields of fire, and suddenly you've got 150 strength 5 AP -1 hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s shots going into those custodies. That is going to do some serious damage. That's like, I have 150 shots, like practically 150 are going to hit. Do you know what I mean? You're going to wound like 75, and they're going to fail like 25 saves. You're just going to like wipe out. That's pretty much any custodies unit just like wiped out. It's not, and that is, and you might be like, oh, that's not like, that's not like a big deal. It's more than that. It's like almost 2 fulls. It's like it's practically a full squad of custodian guards just like wiped out. Something similar to it. Because I've been told their storm shields are going to change, so they're going to be. Anyway, I won't get into that now. But you can predict they're going to be on a 3-up save. Let's put it that way. Okay, pretty much any custodian unit you hit with that, they're going to be on a 3-up save, and that's like, okay, against literally the least viable target in the game, 4 punch cannons. They're not designed for killing custodians. You're still looking at like 30, 25 to 30 wounds going through. That's pretty insane. That's pretty good. Another thing that this is great against, what does everyone hate facing? Volkite Dreads. You know what's actually really good at dealing with the Volkite Dreads? Just masses and masses of damage 1 weaponry. That's really good at dealing with the Volkite Dreads. So it is just a really fun tactic. Is it top tier competitive? I don't know. Probably not. Is it fun? Are you going to have are you going to make your opponent fall to his knees and weep as you just roll fistfuls of dice again and again into his face and across his army and just destroy everything in front of you? You can see the table wearing away in front of you due to the amount of dice that you're rolling across over it. Yeah, that sounds pretty fun to me. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's wacky and weird and classic Mordian Glory video. If you have enjoyed it, please consider heading on over to the Patreon and signing up. It is thanks to my Patreon supporters that I am able to concoct and field test these totally bonkers ideas. So I just want to say a massive thank you to my current Patreon supporters. You guys are legendary. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.